Nigeria and expect it to work. The presidential system may be working well in the USA, but it doesn't seem to be working in Nigeria. Nigeria, with over 374 multilingual groups with different cultures and traditions, could be described as one of the world's most diverse countries. Finding the right political and administrative structure is not easy, but a foundational task that must be done right. Permit me to also state that restructuring encompasses our value system, our reorientation, our educational system, political system reforms, decentralization of institutions, control, judicial reforms, security architecture, and economic reforms. We are gathered here this evening to brainstorm on how to peacefully, constructively, and democratically reorganize and exert pressure on the federal, states, and the National Assembly of Nigeria to see the urgency to act. All efforts by numerous individuals and organizations, including national conferences in the past, have failed to bring about a change to the status quo. The recent publication of the draft bill on restructuring Nigeria, titled "A Bill for an Act to Substitute the Annexation Decree 24 of 1999 with a new governance model for the Federal Republic of Nigeria" by Dr. Akin Fapohunda, has ignited a renewed lively debate among Nigerians at home and abroad, bringing the topic back to the forefront of thought in Nigeria. Dr. Akin Fapohunda has, in the meantime, submitted the draft and some other documents titled Proposal of Ideas, Structural Transformation of the Nigerian Polity, to the President and the National Assembly of Nigeria. We don't know if there has been any response from them, so in course of the evening, it's going to whether he has got any positive response or not. In any case, the Nigerian Global Roundtable believes that this topic should remain a central focus Nigeria's political debate until it is properly addressed. I am Dr. Jones Edobo, an economist and a consultant residing in Vienna, Austria. The co-host for tonight is Dr. Omonigo Otanosha, an assistant professor of engineering at the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Warri. Before going on to introduce our guest speaker and the panelists and the panelists, let me say a few words about who we, the Nigerian Global Roundtable, are. The Nigerian Global Roundtable is an NGO think tank aimed at pursuing good governance and accountability to facilitate economic empowerment and the overall development of Nigeria at large. We are a non-partisan legal entity registered in Vienna. We draw our membership from distinguished and accomplished Nigerian professionals from across the world. And now, I have the honor to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Akin Fapohunda, who is going to share his vision and ideas on transforming Nigeria's current presidential system through the adoption, perhaps with some minor amendments, of the 1963 Constitution. With him, our expert panelists to discuss in an interactive format. So thank you all for being a part of this significant event. Now I have the honor to introduce our guest speaker. Dr. Akin Fapohunda holds a bachelor degree from the University of Pardon, and has a master's degree from the University of Wisconsin at Madison, USA, in remote sensing and environmental monitoring, and then got his PhD from the University of Pardon in digital soil variability studies. Dr. Fapounda also attended the International Institute for Aerospace Studies and Earth Sciences, ICE, Netherlands, at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA Technology Application Center at the University of in the USA. Fapounda was in the Federal Public Service at the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, the Raw Materials and Research and Development. He was also in the Raw Materials Research and Development Council. He was the Director of Planning, Research and Data Bank at the National Agricultural Land Development Authority. He was also the Director, Space Science Office, from where he voluntarily retired in December 2000. Dr. Fapounda owns and runs the primary school Aflon Digital Academy, secondary school Aflon Digital College, and tertiary and vocational education school Aflon Digital Institute, all at Kuje in Abuja. He was a senior lecturer in multimedia technology and digital image at Bingham University, Karu, Abuja, from 1999 to 2018. Dr. Fapounda was elected into the Computer Professionals Council of Nigeria in 2009 and was also elected into the Professional Fellowship of the Nigeria Computer Society. He has since then participated in several professional undertakings as educational and IT consultant to national and corporate bodies across the country. He is part of several socio-political organizations. He is a member of Afenifere, the former organization of the Yorubas, as a director in charge of research and strategy. He is a member of the Voice of Reason, a body of concerned elders. He is the Secretary Steering Committee Eminent Elders Forum, an organization comprising 300 members retired from a variety of positions drawn from across Nigeria. He is the convener, the Oduduwa Society, a body of Yoruba professionals and academia. He's a technical writer and publisher of several books, seeking to bring the knowledge of computer science to the of everyone in Nigeria. Dr. Adu Fapounda resides in Nigeria. He's also a member of the Nigerian Council. You are welcome, sir. Now to our panelists. Honorable Dr. Balarabe Shehu Kakale Shudi is a consultant radiologist and a former lecturer at the Department of Radiology, Man Danfo University of Sokoto, formerly University of Sokoto. Dr. Kakale Shuni was the former Commissioner of Health, a former Commissioner Budget and Economic Planning in Sokoto State. He is the founder and chairman of Lahiya's SAK, founder chairman of the Sokoto DNA project, chairman Advisory Council 21st Century Entrepreneurs Hub. He was a former member of Federal House of Representatives and former chairman House Committee on Nigeria-Brazil Parliamentary Relations. He was the National Secretary Parliamentarians at Majiri, Changaya, and Makaranta Alo Reforms, Nigeria. He was a former member, Presidential Steering Committee on Alternate School Program. He is an advocate of skillificate, meaning not certificate. He is working on, okay, let me repeat that. He is an advocate of skills, meaning that not for skills that are important. So is working on legislative, or he was on legislative and institutional reforms to prioritize skills, creativity, entrepreneurship, and problem solving over pass and get qualification alone. He is saying that alone cannot move a country anywhere. He is a strong advocate and supporter of constitutional reforms for regionalism and devolution of power, local government autonomy, state assembly and state judiciary, state police, fiscal federalism, constitutional rule for traditional rulers, creation of shuni and dan local government areas, conventional formal education reforms, and managerial educational reforms, health reform, judicial reforms, code of conduct reforms, functional and productive and youth in governance and gender responsive budgeting. Your welcome, sir, Honorable. Dr. Akpo Mudiaga Oje, the second panelist, is an alumni of the University of Benin. Graduated with a degree in law in 1992 and was called Nigerian Bar in 1994. In 1994, he was admitted to the London School of Economics and Political Science to pursue a master's degree in law and obtained a master's degree in law from the London School of Economics and Political Science in 1995. In recognition of his steadfastness in the struggle of people, in August 2008, he was conferred with Dr. Institute of Arts and Science in Benin. That all of you on the microphone. 1999 2002, a special assistant general state. In March 2002, he was appointed as a special advisor on constitutional matters to the executive of the House of Representatives. He was a staff member of the National Assembly Joint Committee on the 1990 has so far been 8 books encompassing the Niger Debt Motion, rule of law, electoral reforms, oil and gas law, and challenges of leadership in Nigeria. Akpo Musiaga wrote his first book in 2000, titled The Challenges of True Federalism and Resource Control. It captured 8 years of Nigeria's evolution in 548. The book won an annual award. As a constitutional lawyer, Dr. OJ contributed to our country's title, judiciary, and constitutional interpretation. Agitation for resource control and development has launched an uncompromising march in establishment in the Niger Delta region, delivering of his law of speeches and lectures locally and abroad, schools, professional institutions, and seminars. Dr. Oje has established himself as an activist. He was secretary to the Delta State Legislature in the Resource Control seat and Supreme Court in 2000. I was representative of Delta State on the review of the 1999 Constitution. In 2006, he was appointed by the PDP National Secretariat as the chairman House of Assembly, a screening committee for Ebonyi State. Dr. Oje has received several awards across the globe and professional associations and armed forces. Dr. Oje of April in Uganda, South Africa of America. A member of the British Council, a fellow of supported the for a steadfast struggle in using the law, engineering, and a tool of
this dog, they don't start to check what they are focusing on.
and
I
a
don't
tool.
say these things.
You are welcome, sir.
All light.
Next, our next fellow one, inspired upper area court judge from the FCT.
What is that noise?
He is currently creator of fellow and co. And civil law and combined honors from
Have you won this soup?
University.
I speak a new soup. Yes, good. In the what?
Can you please stop talking, please? Can you stop talking when you are on this very platform, please? You are disrupting the procedure of this meeting. Please stop talking. Please. Thank you. He holds a master's certificate in Arabic language and has 39 years of working experience in the judiciary. Mr. Rufai holds the traditional title Turakin Sharifai of Sokoto. Also welcome, sir. Before I hand over to our guest speaker, let me mention that while the guest speaker and panelists are speaking, all microphones shall be muted, which you are not doing now. Please mute the microphone. After their presentations, we shall have an interactive conversation with them, and we hope they will endeavor to answer as many questions as possible. Please be patient. Participants shall have the opportunity to ask questions and make contributions as friends. And keep your questions as brief as possible. All participants can use the chat functions to questions or make or draw by using the raise your hand function in the chat function. Please kindly avoid talking until you have been called upon to do so. Thank you all for listening. May I now call on Dr. Akin Fapounda to start his presentation. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Fapounda, you can unmute your microphone and please start with your presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm so honored to be invited to address this, well, the July gathering, not in August, the July gathering. It's a privilege which I appreciate so much. Nigeria restructuring It is not if, it is when. It's a matter of time. We cannot stop a moving train. Actually, Nigeria has just 12 months window opportunity. If the politicians do not do anything in the next 12 months, and we're going to the next election towards 2027, a tragic mistake. The last time it was 100 million to get form. With inflation now, it will be 200 million to get form. So only those who have made money in a questionable way can run under the present system of political parties. Everything is based on money, and money cannot produce good results. We just have to change. We have to put pressure. As on my religious background, we are up against the wall of Jericho. And the wall of Jericho did not fall down until people took action. Now, Nigeria is bankrupt as of today. Tinubu government is borrowing $2.5 billion now against the crude oil of the future, not the current crude oil. So the current money has been spent. They are now borrowing money against the future. I don't know whether we appreciate the meaning of that. We are effectively bankrupt. If we don't cut down, in fact, cost of government is the primary reason that we must restructure. We cannot afford 750 parastatals, ministries. Civil servants are doing nothing. I live in Abuja. They rotate going to work 2 times a week because there is no money to pay for transport to go to work. Nothing is going on at all. We don't have governance anymore. We are just all roaming around like goats in this country. We have to restructure. So I wrote a document, 18 pages. It resonated with the people. I didn't know it would be that popular. But there's a vacuum in the politics. People wanted something different, a change. In the last 2 months, I've been on every channel, every newspaper interview, every radio. People want to hear about the structuring. They want to know what it is about. So this body, we have to keep the flame alive. We must restructure, we must do something in the next 12 months. That's just the truth of the matter. Now, the former president, Buhari, said he doesn't know what restructuring means. That is just people are just talking. Okay, my document in brief says what restructuring is. We are to operate a 2-tier system. Each tier will have its own constitution. We are to go to a parliamentary system. Parliamentary system did not fail. People make mistakes. I will just give you a little insight. In 1964, Western House of Assembly, there was a motion that S.L. Akintola should no longer be the premier. Another person was nominated in his place. The day of the motion, somebody threw chair into the parliament, and there was commotion. That was what killed the system of our republic. It's just bad conduct, bad behavior. Parliamentary system did not fail. It did not fail. We just know what happened in UK now. Seamlessly, government has been formed within 24 hours. In Nigeria, it will take us 6 months to form government. It cannot work. Okay, I know I'm talking to enlightened audience. I'm not to give you politics 101. But I focus on what is happening now. If we are going to restructure Nigeria, we here must take ownership of the process. We are used to soldiers dictating to us, creating states, creating local governments from the top. They just address NTA and we just keep running around. Now we must take ownership of what a new structure should be in Nigeria. That's the starting point. People say we have six zones. It's been on for the last maybe 10 years, 6 zones. 6 zones as it is not equitable, is not just. Because in the present 6 zones, Southern Borno is not part of Kanuri land. It's a fact. Southern Bauchi is not part of Kanuri land. Southern Yobe, they are just there to be oppressed. They have no reckoning in the government of Yobe State. Southern Kaduna does not belong to Northwest. It's a fact. Southern Kebbi, Zulu, does not belong to the Northwest. And then Southern Kogi, Southern Kwara, they are Yorubas. Yorubas up to Jeba. So if you do plus and minus, the 6 would just rubber stamp injustice to produce 8 regions that corrects all these anomalies. Is for discussion, it's not final. Use a map of 8 regions. And we have agreed on a proper naming. What is South-South? Nothing like that. What is North Central? Let's use geographical cardinal points. So it will be Northeast region, Northwest region, West Middle Belt, Eastern Middle Belt. Then we don't believe in Southwest. It is Western Nigeria. It's not Southwest. It's Western Nigeria. Eastern Nigeria, nothing like Southeast, is Eastern Nigeria. Then Southern Nigeria. We need to correct these terms. Very, very important. For example, what we want to do for this audience, in the proposed Western region, proposed, we are making a move to the way it was in 1966, Western region, not Southwest region. Other peoples in this forum should take cue and do the same. Let us get organized. Let us express our views. Let us decide how we want to live together. Let us plan for our own constitution. regional constitution. In many areas,
Hello, Honorable.
because we use only one constitution, it cannot address all the issues.
Ice family.
Thank God, all is well, sir. Dr.
Mr. Adeayo, shut down.
Dr. Fabonda, just for a moment. Please mute your microphone. Mute your microphone if you are here. And if you want to talk to somebody else on this platform, then.
So I'll just give you a little idea of what we are doing in Western region now, as an example of what can be copied by other parts of Nigeria. Nigeria will remain. Nigeria as a country, as a nation, is very good, is desirable. Nobody quarrels with the idea of Nigeria, but Nigeria should give back to separate regions that are semi-autonomous, that can do many things on their own without coming to the center. Let Niger Delta keep their crude oil. Let them keep it. 1 kilometer of road from Patani to Port Harcourt might take 20 times financially compared 1 kilometer of road from Damaturu to Maiduguri. So God did not make mistake by giving oil to Niger Delta. But we should not steal resources from them. We are all stealing from Niger Delta. And it's made us very lazy, very stupid. We are just laggards. We are just not useful to ourselves. Our brain have been replaced by sawdust, including me. I'm not saying you alone. Let's put our thinking cap. Every region can succeed. Look, in the Northwest, they have gold. Nobody is mining it, only the Chinese. Gold is more valuable than crude oil. Why can't Northwest region take ownership of gold and use it for developing the Northwest? Why can't? Why can't it be? The Middle Belt is agriculture. Benue State is fruits, citrus, just like California in the United States. Let me not dwell on it. In the Western region, we are stopping the lies. We are 300 tribes in Nigeria. It's false. In Western region, there are 26 sub-nations with their language, with their small difference in culture. We are organizing ourselves on that basis. In Western region, 177 chairmen of local government, they are collecting salaries every month. 177 chairmen of local governments. Then there are 137 House of Assembly members. What laws are they making that we need 6 parliaments in Yoruba Land? Why? What law are you making in Lagos that cannot apply to Adekit? What law are you making in Abeokuta that cannot apply to Akure? You need to waste 6 parliaments in the Western region? No. So we are proposing just 1 parliament for Western region, 1 parliament. The existing states will retain their boundary for identity, but will downgrade the paraphernalia of office. Against 2027, we are going to push for it. We don't want executive governor in 6 places. We don't want speaker in 6 places. It's a waste of resources. The money meant to develop people is being used to service politicians, and they are buying SUVs. It cannot work. I will soon round up because I know time is of essence. So we have formed Western region organization to push to educate our people, to educate the political class that we cannot continue like this anymore. And we have, this last week, sent a formal letter to our 6 governors on what Western region organization seeks to do. We want to reorganize. In fact, Western region needs restructuring as much as Nigeria needs it. All parts of Nigeria needs restructuring. The middle belt, they need restructuring too. The Igbos in the east, they need it. The Jaws that are split into 5 states, that is wrong. They need to be organized and take their destiny in their hands. So we have written as governors. I understand it, I know it, that they will not yield very easily. Power does not just yield just because you shouted, because you wrote a newspaper editorial. No. We are making a concerted effort, a big pressure. For the first time ever in Western region, the educated elite, they have now come forward to be part of the governance system. We made a request for Yorubas in the 26 sub-nations of Yoruba land to come forward. And we have got 21 representatives from the different areas. And all of us are accomplished in Nigeria, across the world. We will not let people who have not gone to school to rule us again. All of us here, we stand by, we say politics for the dirty people. No, we have to get involved now. We cannot let somebody who didn't finish secondary school to rule you that we have PhD. PhD is not a joke. It's not a joke. That's part of the structure. The educated, the intelligent, the innovative must have to take charge of governance. Otherwise, in Abuja now, there's no petrol for the last 3 days. There's no light. Only one dam was built in 1987 in Abuja, Aswan Usman Dam. Only one dam since 1987. No new program for water supply in 30 years in FCT. Do you know pure water sachet used to be 5 naira. I bought it 50 naira yesterday. Pure water sachet is now 50 naira. We have gone down. I don't know what to describe where we are. We are living like those pigs. People cannot shower with water on their head. They use small pail. No, look, Lagos, cholera in Lagos, cholera in Lagos, over 100 dead, cholera. No pipe-borne water. We need to restructure everything. We need to destroy the system. I'm not calling for any military anything, but we have to use the brain to fight, to push. We have laid back. Many of you are in the diaspora. You have to really take charge of these issues because you are blessed. You have to partner with people who are at home. Let's form movements for the Shekiri, movements for the Jaw, movements for the Igbos, movement for the Gwaris. Let us express ourselves. We are in a basket. In a basket, in a rainbow of color, we are all going to shine. We have been put down too much. That is my message of restructuring. I've been lucky to be selected as Secretary General, Western Region Organization. I chose it deliberately. I don't want chairman, I don't want leader, so that it will not attract envy and needless attention. I'm just Secretary General of Western Region Organization. That is enough. I can play the role I can play. I don't need to be chairman or Ashiwaju like Tinubu. I don't need Ashiwaju title at all. We want to work. We want to bring ideas to space. We are going to engage our traditional rulers. We are going to engage our speakers of House Assembly. We are not going to stay in a comfort zone at all. Finally, as I said, we have just 12 months to kickstart the process of restructuring. Because once we agree on it, it will take us at least 2 years to agree on a federal constitution, for each region to produce its own constitution, to share assets and liabilities, to decide on governance model, to decide on proportional representation, not winner take all. If you score 10% in any election, you are qualified to be in government. What we have now is winner take all, APC won, and everything is APC. People are decamping now to APC. If we have proportional representation, you will stay in your own ideological zone. If you score 10%, you have made impact. You are relevant. Many things we need to do, gentlemen and ladies. I appreciate you for bringing me to this forum. I thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Faponda, for that intervention, that presentation. Before we move on to the next, to the panelists, I just want to get some figures right. Currently, because you spoke about resource control, because people talk of resource control without really understanding where we were and where we are now. Currently, I'm just adding these figures before to add to the conversation. Currently, the federal government of Nigeria keeps 56% of all the resources, the national revenues, 56%, and shares 24% to all the states. So 24% of the total budget, of the total revenues, they share 24% to 36 states, not 24 to every state. Out of 24, you divide it by 36 states. So that is what the states are getting, while the federal government keeps 56% to themselves. Okay, and now for the local government, because there have been people now singing and dancing that the local government areas are going to now get direct budgets. Now, what is reserved for the 774 local government areas are 20%. So you have to share the 20% among 774 local government areas. So you can just imagine that the impact you are going to have per local government is really, really minimum, or rather minimal. And also the same with the states. So the federal government gives over 56%, about 56% to themselves. So all the money, all the resources are with the federal government. And this is why there is no development taking place anywhere. Of course, in addition to the corruption and the looting and so on that are taking place with that 24% to the states and the 20% to the local government area. Before the military took over, the agreement of what we were practicing was 50% derivatives for the state, or rather the region, where the resources were being generated. 50% was kept there, okay? and 15% was given to the federal government. Only 15%. And the balance was used for the states for distribution to the other states. So this is where we were before the military took over. And what we have now with 56% staying with the federal government, basically they control the resources. And all the states in Nigeria have to share 24%, all of them together. And the local government areas, 20%. This is just to buttress the relevance of resource control, that what we have now cannot take us anywhere along the way, if we want to develop. You also spoke about gold in Samfara. There are so many other resources across the whole of Nigeria that basically we can be exploring, and using for the good of those states, which are not being exploited because of the current status quo. You said something I wanted to understand before we move on to the next person. I agree with you that the parliamentary system did not fail, so that is just not the issue. What you said about that the parliament, the Western region, is working on becoming one region. I don't quite get it. Are you doing this as preparation for the national restructuring that will take place? Because you alone in the West cannot restructure without restructuring, or rather working on the national constitution. Did I get that correctly before we pass on to the next speaker? Can you please clarify that? Is that just in preparation for what is coming? Or are you working in earnest to just restructure the Western region without the national restructuring we are all discussing and working towards? Are you there, Dr. Faponda? Can you please unmute your microphone?
I'm there.
Okay.
The question. For my biography, I have hand in many national bodies, not just matter.
I know.
So the Eminent Elders Forum, I'm part of them. We are coming up with a proposal for the whole country. The Coalition of Indigenous Ethnic Nationalities is also a Nigerian project. Since we have agreed to have 8 regions instead of 6 zones that we have now, fine. My mindset is that every zone or region should go and organize themselves too. It is that way that we can put pressure on the federal government. Tinubu will have no choice anymore. If the regions come out forcefully to say they want to identify, they want to do self-government, and they don't want to be appended to others in Nigeria, our battle will have been fought properly. So Western region cannot do it alone, but we are doing well. Let me be a little bit. Western region is a pace-setting part of Nigeria, whether we like it or not. We don't want to set pace for others to push. Others might overtake us, no problem. So as I said, now let the Jaws organize themselves, or let Southern region organize themselves and form a body and be identified the fact that we want to govern ourselves under the umbrella of Nigeria. Let the Igbo do the same. Let them draw their own map the way they choose. If they feel some Igalas in Benue are part of the Igbo land, let them come up with it. If they feel some Ikwere people in Rivers are part of it, let them come up with it. Let them reach an agreement. And the Jukuns and the tribes, I mean, that's the message. That's the message. That's the message. So when we are going to have a national conference, Western region will be ready. That's the message. Let others get ready to and do the same. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. So, okay, Western region is preparing for the D-Day, and you will be ready when the time comes. And if others will join hands in doing the same thing you are doing now, that pressure, of course, will compel whoever is in charge to do the right thing when the time comes. So thank you for that clarification. I would like to hand over now the floor to Honorable Dr. Shinu to please respond to what Dr. Faponda said. In case you have you agree, you disagree, or you want to contribute something to his presentation. So you may unmute your microphone, please, Honorable. So unmute your microphone, Honorable Shehu Kakale. Unmute your micro. Okay, you are unmuted now. Okay.
All right, thank you. You can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Jones Edobo, sir. I really want to thank the Nigerian Global Roundtable, and of course, IKM Pafunda, the presenter of the bill for a new governance structure for Nigeria, and all the participants here for democratizing this discussion. Because what is most important is not to really monopolize the discussion to one region, one ethnic group, or one section of the country, but to bring it to the table for everybody to discuss and add opinions and points. The truth about restructuring is in the current Nigerian state, and even before the current state or the Fourth Republic, is something that has always been there, and is an imperative that we must continue to discuss and converse about. The current constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I think, is the longest constitution or document to have been used for over 25 years in the history of the country, pre-colonial and post-colonial, has really shown a lot of weaknesses and cleavages in trying to bring good governance, into trying to bring development, equity, and justice for this country. So it's high time it's amended, or ideas are brought to bring a new governance structure and a constitution that all Nigerians will be participants and will agree with. Truly, the current federal system, which is more of an interest system of constitution that has been adopted from the American system or from the American constitution, has not worked well for Nigeria. And this stems from the fact that the American constitution, the constitution that's based on immigrants, immigrations, and land grabbers to the then newly discovered Northern American territories, to which they have imposed upon the indigenous people, which were ostracized and oppressed all through. And for Nigeria, that has been rooted in the organics of cultural and historical systems of very diverse kingdoms, chiefdoms, emirates, and caliphates that have been independent nations. You can't just bring such a constitution that has no regard for indigenous people onto an entity like Nigeria. So 100% really support the continued conversation to amend this constitution, or to even completely bring on a brand new one that will ensure equitable participation between all regions of the country. Issues of devolution of powers, issues of what is in the exclusive legislative list or the concurrent legislative list, issues of fiscal federalism, issues of presidency or prime minister or the parliamentary system of governance. Of course, Dr. Akin's Pafunda's proposition is just one of many that have been presented by different groups, interest groups, advocates, and agitators across the country. Even yesterday, I visited the National Assembly, particularly, the Secretariat of the Constitutional Review Committee of the 10th National Assembly. People are bringing memoranda, for over a wide range of constitutional amendment requirements. It's interesting to see how Nigerians are really, really interested about that. This current 1999 constitution, one of the major problems I have with it, and a lot of people having with it, is a constitution that is enshrined on a mentality of wealth sharing rather than wealth creation. And the danger there is it's been, unfortunately, over the years, inculcated into the psyche of the typical Nigerian youth. That sense of entitlement and freebies or free crumbs that comes from regular, cyclical, monthly sharing of FAC, in Abuja across the states of federation, with little or no accountability. So it's this constitution that has instituted that. We need a constitution that will emphasize wealth creation among the various segments, subnationals, or federated units of the country. And let me tell you what I've been telling people, and nobody has been able to bring a spurious argument, to this. A rebranded or structured Nigeria and constitution, particularly if we go back to the parliamentary system, in very simple terms, will produce more food for Nigerians. It's about food security. A regional system or parliamentary system for Nigeria will bring on the table more rice, more beans, to produce more cocoa. It will definitely produce more palm oil. It will produce more maize, more livestock, more beef, more milk for Nigerians. Because each region will, of course, look at those, areas of production that they have competitive advantage and massively invest in them. That's what the northern region did. That's what the southwest region did, and the northern region did, in the first republic. And a parliamentary system will also bring about a lean government with the humongous expenditure on recurrent, expenses brought down, because each zone or region will eventually have their own parliament, and then the very expensive, central structure that's being run, all those areas of OPEC spending will go. It will also, very importantly, bring about the much needed generational change, because a lot of youth will bring on board new worldview, new ideas on governance, on prosperity and development. Because all across the regions, young people will take up positions of leadership that will be quite vibrant, quite boisterous in solving problems, rather than just sitting to think of coming to Abuja to share facts every month. So we are also carrying out this discussion up north. As I repeat, the north is not afraid of restructuring. If anything, if we have a parliamentary system, the north will be better off, because northern Nigeria, from its previous system of governance before the colonists came, was basically and has been basically, a trans-Saharan, Mediterranean, and Gulf economy. A trans-Saharan, Gulf, and Mediterranean economy. That is where the wealth and economic productivity of Northern Nigeria has been for over 1,000 years. The Southern Nigeria, or Southwest, has also been a transatlantic and Western, of course, European and American economy. The Southeast will benefit from its age-long, Central African and South African and also transatlantic economy. So it will even give Nigeria the opportunity to have a multi-pronged economic policy and economic engagement across all aspects, of the Africa regions, Western Africa, Northern Africa, etc. And particularly for security now, what is very important is, if we have a parliamentary regional government in the north that engages actively, with the with the Sahelian countries of, for example, Niger, Cameroon, Mali, Sudan, and Libya, and the rest. It will stem the inflow of these dangerous weapons that are fueling insecurity, kidnapping, and banditry in the north, and for the benefit of the rest of the country. But currently, with this federal system though that we have, where our foreign policy objectives have really been not so pan-African, I might say, is that we have not been able to build good relations with these northern neighbors of ours to particularly take care of issues of insecurity and the illicit flow of arms, ammunition, and even cash. Nigeria, for example, have not been talking just because of one contraption of a colonial system that they speak French as official language, speak English. But we are the same people across the border. Kanuris and Hausas are the ones that are across this border. And I'm telling you, through community as well as traditional institutional contacts and interventions, they've been able to make some gains in these issues of insecurity. But the two governments are not talking. And we're at the mercy of bandits. People cannot go too far. So a traditional system of governance, and where the constitution also allow some degree of autonomy for those regions to have consulates, also foreign relations. I'm telling you, from day one, that insecurity will be taken care of. And the issue of livestock production, the transhumans, and our economy that I've said is on that aspect of trans-Saharan Gulf as well as material economy. It will be ramped up, and it will be for the benefit of the greater Nigeria. Of course, as the North prospers, the other regions will also prosper because it's one country, and we will share definitely certain points of economic, foreign policy, defense, and security matters on the Constitution. And what I just want to draw our attention is we should not direct this discussion to issues of ethnicity or tribal sentiments, please. Whatever tribe you are, whether you're in the majority or minority, of course, yes, your voice should be heard. And that your representation, whatever percentage, should be, recognized and be respected. But we are better off and stronger, as one country, because all countries, their measure of strength and power is based on their landmass and their resources, human, economic, and other resources. Small countries will still eventually merge when they realize that they are also to be trampled by other bigger countries around them. The Europe now, even with their 4 countries, are still coming up to form the EU. So we'll continue the discussion. It's extremely important. And I support the idea of powerful some aspects of it, while others, yes, we need to have opinions from other individuals. There are those who want things in Nigeria should have rotational presidency, single-term presidency, more states, less states, and the rest, and the discussions are continuing. So the vast majority of people in the North, our traditional institutions, our academics, our doctors, our lawyers, our youth, ex-servicemen and current serving and ex-servicemen, current serving and retired civil servants are all interested in restructuring, and we really want it in an inclusive manner that everybody will at least contribute and be happy about. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Shuni, for this very interesting intervention. Very good. So thank you very much. What just beats me before I pass the microphone to Dr. Oke is you have spoke eloquently about the good in parliamentary and what this will do for the region, whether it is one region or several regions in the north. And Dr. Fabonda also spoke about restructuring in terms of parliamentary system for the West. And I think those in the East are also talking about restructuring, resource control, and more or less true federalism. So the question is, why are we not moving towards that? What is holding us back? If we all know that this is good for all of us. So why are we not moving in that direction? But we will probably get to that as the evening, as our conversation continues. You know, there must be something against our knowledge of what is good for us. We are doing and holding on to what is not working for us. So what is causing it? That's probably one area we need to be discussing then as we move on. So let me give the microphone to Dr. OJ to also add his views on what has been said, whether you wish to just agree or add some aspects of your own position. I know you have done a lot of work on responsible and so on, major data area. You want to put this on phone and voice now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I've heard the well presented aspects from both the lead. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
Okay, great, great. Now, without prejudice, I would rather say I would want a wider platform in agitating for the restructuring of this country rather than identifying it with a section of our country. With a collective aspiration and the unison of the spirit of the people to be ruled under a constitution that reflects the collective will of the people. So we should be careful that we don't narrow down our parochial interests to obfuscate this very universal agitation of our people. I would rather, first of all, as a lawyer, try to raise issues regarding the constitutionality and the realism of legality of what we are doing. We have a constitution that is on ground. In jurisprudence, it is said that even Hitler's law was good law until it was repealed. The reality is that the 1999 constitution, which forms a schedule of Decree 23, decreed democracy to Nigerians, even though it was a fraud. I use the word by saying we, the people of Nigeria. The penultimate speaker made that word that we copied the American Constitution. It's very correct. That is the preamble of the American Constitution. We, the people, we never met in Nigeria, and giving us a constitution attached to a schedule and saying for the purposes of the constitution, the schedule shall only operate while this decree remains unchanged. It's a travesty. We've never had any constitution in the 1999 constitution, notwithstanding the defects and the fundamental, it's still the law of the land. Now we're agitating and bringing something to substitute the constitution. But how are we constitutionally enlightened on the procedure to substitute the constitution? The ideas contained in the presented model of constitution are fantastic, even though there are areas which have heated to raise my views. But how do you make them come into reality? It ought to be the fundamental challenge that what we are doing is not academics, because we are not in a lecture. We are trying to bring everything empirical and practical for the reality of our people. Conceptions of ideas and the sophistry of too much circumlocution or presentation of words might not help us at this point. We require is prompt and immediate action, realistic, legally open channels for us to realize what we're doing. Model is telling us about how to use the powers of the National Assembly to substitute this great work But I'll dare tell you that the National Assembly has no inherent powers under our Constitution. And if you look at the decision of the Supreme Court, the real McCoy Supreme Court, in Gani Fahmy against Akilu, in part 102 reported, the Supreme Court said it is only the courts under section 6, subsection 6A of the Constitution that has inherent powers. And inherent powers are not powers outside the law. It's only lubricants that will fashion the law to show its course. So first of all, we have a very tall order on how we can bring in these great ideas of restructuring reflected in this book into reality. A constituent assembly used to be the on which a constitution comes upon. If you look at the Ghanaian constitution of 1993, it was affirmed through a constitutional conference and a constituent assembly and carried out by the referendum of the people and became the People's Constitution of Ghana in 1993. And I told you that constitution had given every Ghanaian the right to challenge the presidential election, provided it comes within 21 days. The issue of stifling citizenry from seeking redress in a court through the anachronistic principles of local standard have been cleared by the Ghanaian Constitution. We have that problem here in Nigeria. Right. The 1960 and 63 constitutions, indeed, with great respect, could be reenacted. They perfectly suit us. Now, when you talk about resource control, 50%, it was not 50% resource control derivation. It was 50% mineral derivation under section 134(6) of the 1960 Constitution and 146 of the 1963 Constitution. It was saying the regions were entitled to 50% of mineral derivation. Now, what extended the resource control was the fantastic drafting in subsection 6 of both constitutions, that for the purpose of calculating the 50% mineral derivation, the continental shelf should be deemed to be part of it. Wow, that was fantastic. If you look at the resource control case, in quotes, of which I was the chief defense secretary and the Delta State defense team, the issue there was where did the boundary of the littoral states stop? States like Delta State, River State, Edo State, Bayelsa State, where did their boundary stop to calculate the 13%? It was a master stroke from President Obasanjo to introduce the onshore-offshore dichotomy. And when he brought that decision, Rotimi Williams was called. Rotimi Williams, a very seasoned lawyer, filed the action against the 36 states, but the real action was against us, the littoral states. So the landlord states, which issued as defendants, agreed with him that our boundaries ended at the low water mark of the land surface of a state, meaning all mineral resources and the oil and gas from the land surface belongs to the federal government for sharing. And that's how they expropriated our monies in the Niger. The agitations and the spontaneous reactions that followed made government to bring in the abolition, Offshore Abolition Act of 2004, to assist us to have only 200 meters dead isobath. I speak to you, the 13% derivation for us as Niger Delta is minus the conventions here granted to us in 1960. We're retrogressing. And in my book, The Challenges of True Federalism and Resource Control, I sufficiently tried to make that point clear. And it was mostly stated at that point that the 13% mineral derivation we're receiving today is not 30%. It is less excess crude oil account. Obasanjo just set up an excess crude oil account. What's the excess crude oil account about? For example, the benchmark of the oil today in the budget, for example, will be $73 per barrel. That's what we're expecting. And the oil shoot to $96. Shoots up to $106 again, $136. And the benchmark on the budget was $80. There was an excess of close to $50 multiplied by 2.8 million barrels of oil that was in this country. What the federal government did was to pay 13% for the benchmark, 375, and never paid us any 13% for the excess. These are the things that are made us agitate, and we should have resource control. And incidentally, in 1995, the chairman, Justice Carey, a good Nigerian of their soul, commissioned geologists and experts. They went round, discovered that this country, in every state, had a mineral resource to sustain it. It is the easy transportation of oil and transformation of oil that has caught the Nigerian fancy. And that's why their eyes are on the oil of the Nigerian. So when we talk about restructuring, I will be very glad to make it much more on a broader plan without sectional presentations and representations, so that we can have that mutual assurance that we are working in the interest of all of us, and not mostly in the interest of a section or a region. We speak today is the Constitution that we need to address. This model is a, but I sent you something privately. For example, let me tell you about the great injustices that are meted out to us in this Constitution. One, the House of Representatives, made up of 360 members, the entire South, we collectively have 55 members. The entire South, we collectively have 55 members in the House of Representatives, whereas only Kano has 44 members. Kano. So Kano alone can just defeat every bill brought by the entire 6,000. So even Lagos that are friends to us, there are 24 in that house. So what kind of arrangement could bring out such an injustice in terms of population? Where did that voodoo census take place? How did they delineate these constituencies as to make us unequal yoked? The words of Bible. How can just one? And these 6 states are the states that produce. Now you talk about resource control and the sharing. The sharing is a revenue allocation formula that is under section. It's a revenue allocation formula that the government takes 56. And that section is section 162. He said that there should be a federation account into which all revenues, except those of the military and Ministry of External Affairs, should be. And section 162.2 now says, in trying to enact a revenue allocation formula, it will act on the advice of the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission. And once it receives that advice, it will deliberate as a National Assembly. Now look at the problems there. He said, when they want to share, they should have regard to landmass of this region. Local government areas, the landmass, that is where the federal government and the other states who don't produce collect the monies. Internally generated revenues of the states are to be considered in the revenue allocation fund. But it was resource control on derivation that was now put in the proviso that whatever revenue allocation formula is adopted and enacted by the National Assembly, not less than 13% should be granted to the states where the natural resources come from. That's not 13% resource control. The rest is revenue allocation. And let me tell you this, since 1999 to date, the federal government has not enacted a new revenue formula. What was done was a modification of the existing revenue formula since 1992. That is what is continuing. No democracy under this our democracy has enacted a new revenue formula. I had a revenue formula in 1981. There is none. It is still at the whims and caprice of the president. And Obasanjo amended it, and that is why they left it. That is the status quo. And if you look at section 55 of the Constitution, it exterminates my language. You use the word, say, well, over 340 trilingual groups. That's what you said. But the Constitution does not recognize them. It doesn't. The Constitution recognizes only the Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. All what you are saying about the other ethnic groups are not recognized. They are not recognized by the Constitution. I hope you are listening to me, please.
Yes, we are. We are hearing you.
Seem to be a little bit crazy here. Like I use the primitive technology in Africa. So up till now, as I speak to you, my language as an Yoruba man is not recognized by the Constitution. Yet my community produces 11,000 barrels of oil every day to this country and has a flow station. Section 55 of our Constitution directs that the business of the National Assembly shall be conducted in English, or Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo can be there. That the business of the National Assembly shall be conducted in English, Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo when there's an interpreter. So there's no Shekiri there. There's no Ijo there. The business and language of those making the laws can be used in the languages of these three tribes. Whereas the resources comes from those of us who are the ethnic minority of this country. If my resource is a blessing to you and my language is an abomination, what a country are we living in? What a country is it? So these are fundamental things which I believe we should look at. Look at address. Make our meeting here less academic and be very focused on how we can dislodge the present constitution. It was Abraham Lincoln that told us that the constitution belongs to the people. They can alter it, they can meet and even overthrow it. That is the process we have to look. Have to get down, call people together, look at this, let people contribute, make their own impact, and we take it. Try to see which way we can go and get recognition in law through this existing law, which is the Constitution. It has listed itself in Section 9.2 on how to amend it. We want to substitute it what a tall order. What a tall order. It has to go, first of all, to thirds of houses. It has to go around federation again. And if it talks about issues in Section 8.4, it goes to 4/5. So we are already in track. We are in a country where the Constitution under Section 318(4) has said the Interpretation Act should be used to interpret it. That is what the Constitution is saying. And Section 18 of the Interpretation Act has defined land as including building, but excluding mineral. The section has my right to get what land that you grant me is over. And the Constitution is saying use that law. So which we are all that all what you can do, land is acquired by government is improved land, but not land. Yet in school and in law, it is axiomatic. In the quick that Solo said it rule that what is attached to the land and beneath the land belongs to who owns the land. Our problem is not necessarily political. It is engraved in constitutional law and law. The laws of our lands have been used as a tool of repression and oppression against the people. And if you look at the new environmental safety standard law, it has outlawed the use of chemical materials anywhere in the country except in the production of petroleum activities, except in the promotion. Femi Falana first draw attention to it. Go and read it. Section 6.1. Chemical activities and utilizations are prohibited in Nigeria, not to destroy the economy, except in business of petroleum. We have legislated that we can be brutalized like chemicals in our country. So I just want to cover it that we should look at the reality and the practical consequence of trying to implement what we're saying here. We have been so much at one time. It was the Ogoni lawyer that told me, meeting told me, let me say, I'm suffering from the trauma of excessive circumlocution and recurring debates and debates and debates about Nigeria. And it is time for action. It's time. And please, we're doing a great work, but let us put it in the back of our minds. In order not to render this thing.
I don't know how many votes will you do?
Which we can drive our ideas being discussed at this moment with the reality on the ground. Sadly and regrettably, that the 1999 Constitution foisted upon us remains the ground of our country.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Oje, for that my intervention. I wouldn't say a bit emotional, but that was quite interesting. I understand where you are coming from, given the work that you have done in this on the Constitution, to the Supreme Court, etc., etc. So well done for that very intervention. Ambassador Mayegun, I can see that you have raised your hand. Please exercise some patience until the panelists have all made their contributions. You will be the first person to call to make your observation or ask your question. Please exercise some a bit more patience, please, so that we don't just
No problem, Dr. Edobo. Dr. Edobo. No, let the panelists speak, please.
Yes, okay, thank you.
I'm just, mine is just a little contribution. So allow the panelists to take the floor. And then I'm taking my notes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you very much, Dr. Oje. I think we will come back to some of the issues you have raised. Very interesting topics that you have also raised. But I cannot see that Dr. Alao has also written something, but we will compile all that for later when the panelists have finished their contributions. So thank you very much for that intervention. I would like to now call on Barrister C.D. Bello Rufai to please make his observations and contributions, to what has been said. And what Dr. Faponda also said at the beginning, which was the main speaker, and the other things that have been said so far, and also your contribution, please. So you may unmute your microphone and then speak, make your contribution, please. The floor is now yours. Thank you. Unmute your microphone. Unmute your microphone. Okay.
Yes. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm really happy to be part of this noble process. I once again want to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to Dr. Akin Papahunda, who found me worthy to be in this noble discussion. Sir, I learned that I'm only a toddler among the discussants, and therefore I don't think I may have something bigger than what the previous speakers have said. But I only want to add that I'm a proponent of this noble cause, that is regional system of government as the discussion centers. And I also believe that the time is now. What made me to support the processor? I was told that I was born a year after the regional system of government was truncated by the military coup. So I cannot be a competent witness to testify on their achievements and importance of regional government compared to the present system of government we have operated. But sir, when I grew up, I combined the information I received from my parents, and when I went around the country, I discovered most of the structures there, I was told, were put in place during the regional system of government. It endured and it is still in existence compared to what we are now experiencing daily of building collapsing and what have you. So similarly, what makes me to support this process is that I found out from the definition of the word restructuring by Longman English Dictionary that restructuring does not mean dismembering. Restructuring does not mean dividing. Restructuring does not mean disfiguring. No, it means to change the pattern, the way you do things in order to achieve maximally. And that is what convinced me to join this noble process. As a student of constitutional and administrative law, I also discovered that our constitution, the 1999 constitution, which is always addressed at the ground rule, is not autonomous. That it does not derive its legitimacy from the people who are supposed to give that supremacy to that constitution. Because looking from the bill, we can say that it was the constitution we are now currently using in this country is a creature of section 24 of decree 24 of 1998. You understand? So as a student of constitutional law, it does not meet the requirement of becoming a legitimate constitution, which deserves to be crowned as it is now being crowned as a grand honor. And it does not, its legitimacy is unquestioned. And that is what making me to think twice and also to support this noble process of regional government instead of the current government or system of government we are operating. Similarly, resource control is part of the reasons or part of what I consider to support the process, that the region should have the control of their resources. Previous speakers have spoken, like Zamfara is seen over a gold. And so many other states, they have their own natural or mineral resources, which is unfortunately placed under the exclusive legislative list. So, and secondly, harmonious relationship among the ethnic group in Nigeria is also assured when there is this system of government, that is regional system of government. That will be also rich understanding of cultures, norms, tradition. You understand, among the regional, among the region, rather than what is now obtainable. Because what the current system is creating suspicion and blame among the ethnic Nigerian group. Each section of the country will blame the other section that it is their arrangement which makes them what they are. So there is a great suspicion and there is great accusation. You understand? And that will not augur well for generality of Nigerians. So, but when we revert back to the regional system of government, that will make us to understand, because what we are going to achieve in that region, there will be no suspicion, and because there will be understanding, because of the barrier of culture, barrier of language, and what have you. Similarly, understanding of terrain for the purpose of effective policy. It is only achievable under the regional system of government. Freedom to adopt lingua franca as official language for the region. At federal level, we can retain English language to be the official language, but at regional, we can adapt what we feel is suitable for us for quick understanding and development. Drastic reduction of cost in governance. You understand? We have now about 360 members of the House of Representatives. We have 109 senators, and they are all being what? They are not. They are like full-time officers, full-time workers, while they are not supposed to be. That's why I say we are not borrowing American model, as we are only claiming that we are adopting American model system of government. Because even the Constitution of the American is a written constitution, but our constitution is a written constitution. And we know that we are not as economically as viable as the American. Why should we try to copy someone that who is greater than you are? And to run the same system of government which requires a lot of money to run, whereas you know you don't have such power and capability to do that. Why should not everyone cut his coat according to his size? Constitutionalizing our African Nigerian culture, ethnicity, traditional institutions, religious creed among the societies of common shared value. So it is only achievable if we adopt and if we also go by this regional system of government. And like what Mr. Akin Papo Honda has said earlier, the parliamentary system of government did not fail because it was not given the opportunity. It spent only 6 years. So you cannot judge its failures when we are this present system of government is with us for about 40 years. But if we can we reflect what have we achieved during this period? So I think the only answer to our present problems in Nigeria is regional system of government, and therefore I am for it, and that's why I support the idea. Encouraging competition on developmental activity among the region. Once we are operating system of government, that will encourage the other region to compete with other regions in terms of development, and therefore the people of that area will stand to benefit more than what is coming or what is obtainable nowadays. Similarly, the system will ensure and create conducive atmosphere for tolerance and understanding. Because of the language barrier, we are having about 350 languages in Nigeria. And my landed senior, Dr. Oj, has already pointed out that out of these 350, only 4 or 3, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo are recognized. So the other things must have been felt marginalized. I can tell you that as someone who does not hear Hausa, who does not hear Igbo, does not hear Yoruba, but he's a citizen of this country. So these are the reasons that I considered and decided to support this noble noble path of restructuring Nigeria. And I am for it, and I support it, and I will always support it. So I hope this is the only the little things I think I can contribute, considering that my already the other speakers who are my elders and my teachers and so on, so they have already said all the things. I'm only adding or trying to give reasons for my support to the present process. So, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Barrister Rufai, for that intervention. I think basically all the speakers seem to be saying the same thing. We need regional, we need restructuring, we need a parliamentary system, which is, and then regional and resource control seems to be what everybody, all the speakers are saying. But I will, before we will go to the participants to ask questions and make contributions, I would like to ask Dr. Fapunda if you would like to quickly make any statement on the basis of what has been said, so that we can spin the main, the guest speaker, before we hand over the floor to members to ask you questions, make contributions, and all of you can then answer one after the other, depending on who a question is directed to those questions, so that we don't over due to time, you know. So, Dr. Faponda, do you want to?
Thank you.
Okay, go on.
And thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We have passed the stage of lamentations in this our country. Actually, we are against the political class. Yorubas are there, Igbos are there, all other tribes are there on the table in Abuja. They are eating, they are buying SUVs. The president is buying a jet. I don't know whether it's true, but I saw it that there's a coat of arms, Airbus A330. They're enjoying themselves, political class. We must get organized. They don't care all these things we are saying at all. I mean, Abuja, they don't care. That's my information. So let us get organized. It was easier to fight the white people because they were white and we are blacks. But our masters now are from among us. Any small protest in Nigeria now, they will bring police, they bring guns. They arrested SANU members in Abuja. Are they refracts? No. These are university staff, senior staff of universities. They are protesting against areas of allowances for years, not being paid. The state, Nigerian states put guns out to say, look, you cannot protest, you cannot talk. We were freer under the white people in the 40s and the 50s than now. So whether Urobos are recognized, whether it's just recognized, that's not the issue. Urobos are with them now in Abuja. Are they not with them in Abuja? Have they resigned? Did they not accept SUV? Not a single person rejected SUV 160 million. Their salary now, 25 million. We don't even know how much they are earning. Are they our masters? Are we their slaves? How can you have your servant earning salary? You don't know how much it is. Look, our problem is just too fundamental. And we have only 1 year to get together from all angles of Nigeria. If election comes at the end of 2025, they start throwing money around. The people are too poor. We here, we are not poor. All of us here at this place, we are not poor, we can eat. But if they give you 20,000 now, as on this, you will take it. Once that comes, this time next year, we have lost another 3 years again. We have lost another 3 years. They are now importing food. Tinubu said they should import food. Borrow money to import food for Nigerians to eat. They are sending 35 trucks of fertilizer. In July, is it the farming season now? Is it farming season? They are distributing 35 trucks of fertilizer now to many states in Nigeria. They just have no plan. You ought to have brought fertilizer since January. If you want to farm this year now. So, my brothers, let us wake up and let's organize from all parts of Nigeria. Sokoto, Kaduna, El-Rufai is being sued now. He's suing somebody, they are suing him. That he borrowed money in Kaduna State, he wasted it. They are suing themselves. Which court? All the judges, they are sons and daughters of present judges on the throne. The current Chief Justice brought his relations, 2 of them, 3 of them, to Federal High Court. There are so many things going wrong in our country. We are no longer a country. Only we are so vast, we are so big, you don't even know what is happening. So I just keep making pleading that we should get out of our comfort zone, all of us. Let us get out of our, what I know how to do now is to organize at this southwestern area where I have influence. It's what I'm doing now full time. To talk to the urbans, to talk to the speakers, put it in the space. I know in Western region, if you don't do what Yorubas want, there is Operation Wet here. People should go and read what happens in 1962, 63, 64. We need to educate the people about what the political class is doing, so that when the time comes, we don't need to call it, nobody call anybody to burn houses in Western region SC2 now. Nobody called out. People just started burning houses on their own. There was no movement at all. I pray it doesn't get to that, but we must let the people know now that the political class, they have made us their slaves. We are their slaves now. And slavery is not taken by just staying in a comfort zone. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Fapounda, for that we should organize. I think that is a very, very important statement, because after all the lamentation and the academia and the theoretical presentations, without organizing, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to change. And I would like to call on Dr. Shumi. What does he think? How organizing can take place in his own area? He said he was talking to some people in the north. Does he think that he can champion organizing this movement in his part of the country? Dr. Shuni, Honorable, are you there? Can you please unmute your microphone and just make a comment to that, please?
Yes, the issue of organizing people, really boils down to those principles of organizing people. Organizing people. People have to have an informed opinion about something, and you can only get that through, massive communication, enlightenment, as well as education of the people. And in this case, using our local languages. Myself and other like minds are setting up similar webinars in Hausa, for example, to really educate the vast majority of the northern population, youth, and other interest groups on what the issue of restructuring is. So, because most of these discussions are done in English, and as you can see, even on this platform, so I've also really commended the Nigeria Global Land Roundtable for organizing this. The participation, as when I checked, around 30 people, which is good, but of course, we need to continue the conversation. So for us in the North, it's going to be town hall meetings, radio programs, which we have started and we have sponsored some, and webinars like this in the language that our people understand. That is, the majority of people understand, mainly Hausa, to tell them what this structure is all about. What are the presentations, for example, of Dr. Akin Pafunda? What are the presentations of other people who feel the constitution should be restructured in this manner or in that manner? And through that, people will now, actively participate in pushing their own representatives and other agents in government or other key opinion molders or opinion leaders in demanding for action. But the discussion is really not loud enough now, but we are doing it. The organization will repeat, entail education, mass mobilization of people, engagement, and then getting people to really express their own opinions, and then pressing on those who are in those government positions in all areas to demand for action on this issue of restructuring. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Dr. OJ, I know that as a lawyer, you raised some issues about the pathway to getting this done. We all know that we here cannot get this done, but we are just brainstorming and looking for ways of how to get this done. The only pathway, of course, the National Assembly, I don't know if, I don't even think they have the powers to change the constitution. But Dr. Aponda said you can enact the doctrine of necessity and see how this can be peaceful. So what do you think about organizing in the Niger Delta area? Do you think it's a role? Because at the end of the day, if we talk and do nothing, nothing is going to happen. So the only way something can happen is if we start this network of organizing. We have people in the north organizing, people in the south, in the west organizing, those of us in the Niger Delta organizing, maybe some people in the east organizing. And then when we all come together and push this, maybe we can achieve something. So what do you think about organizing in the Niger Delta? Do you have any idea how this can be done? Dr. OJ, you can unmute your microphone and please.
Yes, thank you very much. One thing I know, the people of the Niger Delta will had coalitions of agitators, and you will realize that indeed the presidential amnesty program was established with the Ministry of Niger Delta because of the agitation of the coalition of the people of the Niger Delta, especially spearheaded with disrespect by the Jaw ethnic extraction. We had two ministries. I am the facilitator of the Niger Delta Democratic Union. And in 2003, through our legal action, what I submitted to you, we were able to use mandamus to compel the president Obasanjo to appoint a minister of petroleum resources for the Niger Delta. And he's been reporting our law reports in the court of appeal judgment in NADC against the president. And as I speak to you, I'm in court already in the Warri High Court asking that the 4 million pounds returned from the Igbo youths in the United Kingdom should be sent to my state, and that the federal government has no right to sequestrate it, which it has done, diverting it to build roads and to do some things in the north. It's our money. I'm in court. I am an activist myself, and I believe that the law is an instrumentality to social engineering. We have a lot of groups in the Niger Delta that could bring forward the agitation, and we have been doing so. It is intellectual militancy that we chose to do. We refuse to follow the violent obstruction. Having said that, I would like to ask and tell you that we are brainstorming. We are cross-pollinating our ideas. But who I am and what I believe in is that an ultimate goal should be how to reflect and transmute this brainstorming into reality. If not, we're still in the elixir of the dream world and a fleeting illusion. So that's why I'm brutally frank on saying things like this. How many years have the Niger Delta Democratic Union, we have the Jaw complex, we have the robo agitations and all that? Telling me about robo being in National Assembly, I don't believe it has come to that issue. My point is clear, and I have all the certainty of my proclivity to proclaim it again. And we should not use sections, sentiments, or vision in this place. Nobody knows it all. The model we are following, I didn't know we were discussing it, but that's why I left behind, because I'm somebody who is a non-conformist. I believe documents drafted for people should also emanate from people. Nobody knows it all. Knowledge is not monotonous, no matter how educated you are. You must flush it out to people. I'm a scholar from the London School of Economics, and I'm taught to question through the motto of the school, knowing the causes of things. So while we are projecting issues, we should be very careful not to be practical. That's my only advice, because you are going to face a lot of repulsion from the other aspects. We must move hand in hand, like the Lancaster Conference in 1758 that produced this great. We all met, and everybody dropped their ego. We had to negotiate and come out something great. So in the Niger Delta, we have a grant of groups that can bring into reality agitations here and the restructuring we need here. And we can give you testimonials. The NDC, Presidential Amnesty Program. It was negotiated for people because of the pressure and the agitation over their resources. So we are ready to partner people who are also ready to accommodate us and not dominate us. Remember, it is the mutual suspicion between the ethnic minority, the majorities that bring the major crisis in this country. So if you are still on that mindset, then we will repel you. That is the truth. So dialogue, yes, we are ready. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Rufai, do you think you can play a role also in organizing, helping with organizing in Sokoto area where you live? So can you please unmute the microphone and just very brief, please, so that we just move on to the participants who have questions to ask. So very brief, please, Barrister Suleiman. Sorry, Barrister Rufai, I'm sorry. Can you please unmute your microphone and let us know if you are also going to participate in organizing people in Sokoto, because we have to now start moving from talking to action. So you can unmute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So very brief, please. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir. Do you hear me, sir?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, sir.
We can hear you.
Yes. Immediately I come across this. Immediately I come across this proposal by Dr. Akinpa Puhunda. I perused it and I made the project to be mine. So it is now mine, and therefore I will do everything possible or legally possible to see that the dreams becomes a reality. So I'm going to enhance cross-fertilization of ideas among my peers, information among my younger ones, and I'm going to use my traditional title holding and reach out to traditional institutions and sensitize them on the prospects, advantages, merit, and of this process. So that is what I intend to do, and I have already started doing that earlier before this date, and I will continue to do that because information sensitization, mobilization, and education are the key areas of achieving any goal set in a most civilized situation. Violence is barbaric, is uncivilized. So I don't think through that or through unnecessary riot and protests and certain abuse to government properties will make us to achieve this. I know that to construct will take you many years, but to destruct is just a blink of an eye. So that is the strategies I have adopted. I'm going to intensify on that, and I am sure we are going to have the desired results.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Honorable Shino said sometime, he spoke about the number of people in attendance. We had about 125 registrants, but Nigerian team, so we just have the number fluctuating So we did all we could to get more people here. So I just wanted to make that establish that fact. Okay, I'm going to now hand over to my co-host, Dr. Otanosha, to continue, and is going to take questions from the participants and contributions and questions. Since Ambassador Mayegu was the first person that raised his hand, I think you should please start with him so that his contribution, and anybody who has contributions to make, please, this is the time now to make your contribution. You can ask direct questions. You can just make a brief contribution, but please make it as brief as possible so that we don't just hang on. I think there have been also some contributions from some people in written form. So, Dr. Tanosha, so it's up to you now to also read those things and get them also on board. So over to you now to please continue with taking the questions from the participants. Are you there, Dr. Tanosha? Can you unmute your microphone, please?
Good evening, sir. Thank you, Dr. Dubo, for the wonderful brainstorming from our guest speakers. Thank you, Dr. Mudiaga Oji, and thank you so much, all other participants. So the floor is now open for questions, but I quickly went to the chat forum, and there's kind of a comment, not necessarily a question, from Remy Alao. So since the Assembly can amend Constitution, we need to impress on them to first amend any section that tie their hands to engage on restructuring process. That question is there. I don't know, any of the participants can jump in and possibly mention, give some clarity to that. And then any other questions? Somebody raised his hand earlier on. I think I missed that person now. But if you are still there, please, the floor is open, please.
Dr. Ambassador Dr. Mayegu raised his hand. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Dr. Mayegu, please, the floor is yours, please. If you can unmute, we appreciate you to bring your question on board now.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Edobo. But let me start by quickly expressing appreciation to the guest speakers, to Dr. Faponde, Dr. Uje, Honorable Balarabe, and Barrister CD Sonny. I'm sorry, CD, Rufai. Your contribution has been enriching, but I'm just going to be a bit provocative and then ask my questions. We know that this federation is not working. I think that's clear from everybody that has spoken. But the question is, for me, it doesn't matter whether we're looking at presidential or parliamentary. God knows if we are going to go back to parliamentary, we have a situation where the country has been balkanized as it is today. The cost of governance that Dr. Fakbonda was referring to will still be very high. Now, the question is, do we want to go back to 3 or 4 regions? If we want to do that, are we going to be able to build consensus on those who now claim to have their own states, 36 unviable? Perhaps only 1, 2, or 3 states are really viable. States that have brought about the unrepresentativeness at the National Assembly. Again, it was Dr. OJ who made clear reference. I used to make that. I'm from Lagos State. And I know that way back in 1991 and 92, we have the same local government with Kano. Kano got broken into 2. We now have, and each local government is a representative in. And he said it that when you want to do this or that. So my question to the panelists is, if you want us to go back to the regions, what regions are we referring to? Or are we going to create new regions in order to have true federalism? Our goal is to have true federalism. That's number 1. Number 2, I observe that nobody has addressed what I consider to be the current existential threat to that geographical expression called Nigeria, and that is climate change and changes in technology. As far back as 1986, some of us had internal memos describing the ecological disaster that awaits Nigerians. Today, we are reaping the benefits. We have seen the drying up of Lake Chad and how it has contributed to Boko Haram. We have seen the way it has contributed to the Fulani blah, blah, blah that we all shout and buried in politics. We've seen the banditries in other parts of the country. We have seen how Lagos is sinking up until 1999 and it's been temporarily reversed, but we're not part of it. Lagos can disappear. We have seen how erosion and others and how the ecological something of the Niger Delta has been totally decimated. So are we really addressing the existential threat in the context of this restructuring? Add anything to that. Instead, we make noise, Fulani imperialism, this imperialism, that, and this and that. Again, I go through IDPs and refugee camps, and I know in my early days in the foreign service, if I have to go, there is no land boundary between Chad and Nigeria. Today, you can literally walk across the Lake Chad. There in Vienna, that you heard Dr. Adobo have tried to engage the Austrian government and others in the committee on the peaceful uses of outer space to see how space technology could have been used to revive the fortunes of Lake Chad and others. So please, I want the panelists to help me out with the number of regions. Are we looking at the effect of climate change? And I agree with Dr. Oji and Dr. Fabo himself when he said, time for action is this. We are running out of time. Well, one day, thanks to changes in technology, the oil that glue us together is going to be to your tent, to Israel. In other words, some believe that if there is no more oil today, everybody will go back to their tent. As somebody has described it in the presentation, it is derived, this mentality of sharing rather than, competitions and what have you. So I'm asking, how do we change that mentality? Finally, everybody you have asked, Dr. Adobo, says they will go back to the grassroots. I want to thank Dr. Fabo Onda and those who are organizing. But I beg to say that we've been talking to each other as elites. We've been organizing each other. Have we ever turned to the people at the local level, those who face insurgency, those who really bear the brunt of Boko Haram? I heard from the honorable saying if there is regionalism, that will take care of the insecurity. And I just smiled to myself. Is it really serious? So have we spoken? Are we talking to, we bit a little bit arrogant saying we are going to organize them. Maybe we should listen to them for them to tell us what exactly they want and how we can go about achieving our objectives. In other words, there is need for proper dialogue, even at the local and grassroots level. Thank you.
Can I answer the question? Can I answer the question?
Please jump in, sir. Dr. Faponda.
Sir, the question, I mean, is not focused. There has to be a small group of people that will lead. I mean, you cannot have 20 million people to just the market. Look, how many people led the creation of Israel? Very few. How many people led the apartheid regime in South Africa? Oliver Tambo, Mandela. It takes committed people. How many people free Cuba from US yoke? It is with the elites we form a core group, ideological group that believes people will follow us. Look, Awolowo had called a meeting of 15 persons in 1951. only 9 persons showed up. 9 persons showed up. They launched Action Group in Owo in 1951. Action Group took over Western region and made a change. I have the list of the cabinet people who worked at that time. We can't, it's not a marketplace thing. We need to, okay, nothing hidden. We have formed a 43-member council now for Western region. And we are into a movement. And we are going to make a difference. We will, look, many of us are old enough to know Jack Conde. He was saying he was building cowshed. People were even deriding him that time. That is not a good head of government in Lagos State. But which governor don't want the Jack Conde in Lagos State up to today? So it's not a massive thing. Number 2, governance structure is very important. I made the point here. Earlier on, maybe the speaker question did not, he didn't listen then. In Western region, we have 6 states now. We were going to have the states boundaries, nothing to tamper with it. But we are not going to have executive governors again. They will use to provinces. The whole of Canada has 10 provinces. The whole of Canada, 10 provinces, each province by a premier. And in our own case, we are proposing parliamentary secretaries to be in charge of the current states now, with no 6 state assemblies anymore. We have to free resources to use money to develop the people. Which now is government for politicians by politicians only. That is wrong. Climate change is only Western people who can talk after they have damaged the whole world. How many factories are working in Nigeria that's polluting the environment? How many factories? How many factories? The West have solved their problem. They don't want us to do anything. Which pollution have we caused in the world? Climate change, my foot. We have to provide houses for ourselves. We have to provide roads. We need hospitals. We need schools. We don't have anything. How can somebody who is belly full dictate somebody who is hungry? How is it possible? They are abusing China. China will not listen to them now. Please, climate change. Well, from academic, you can do it. Plant trees, plant flowers, the green environment. Okay. So we'll not set up factories again now. We'll not stop iron and steel industry. We'll not process foods. Is that what you are saying? Climate change? Please, I beg all of us. Anyway, this is a big forum. We are all entitled to opinion. I'm not playing down, but everything is important. But for now, we are not existing. No schools, no hospitals. The roads are bad. We have no water to drink. I went to eat 2 days ago. Me alone, I spent 9,000 to eat rice and chicken in a restaurant. Somebody is earning now 70,000. Can they afford to eat in a restaurant? And not type in Abuja is Kilimanjaro restaurant, very small restaurant, not a highbrow one. So the issue now is we need to downgrade governance and reduce the cost of people. In the whole Western region, we want only one parliament. They will not agree with, but we have to push them now. We have to incite the people against them. We don't need 137 House of Assembly members in Western region. We don't need it. We don't need more than 50% to make laws for the whole of Yoruba Land. We don't need more than that. We don't need more than 1 premier. We don't need 6 governors. It's a big campaign. It's not going to be very easy at all. And other regions have the same challenge too. In Sokoto State, in Kebbi, how many people are going to doing WAEC? How many people? So we have to solve this problem. It's not a joke, but we must survive first now, and the other thing will follow. Thank you, sir.
And what if you survive? Sorry, what if you don't survive? I said I'm from Lagos, Dr. Fakbunda, and I know that the entire Victoria Island was almost already being submerged in the Atlantic Ocean. And you're telling
them move to let them move to the state. Why are you selling land 50 million in that place?
Sorry, continue. I get
Selling
it.
land 50 million, 100 million. Why?
I get it. I get the joke. I know those of you do not love Lagos. We're driving you out of
I hate Lagos. I hate Lagos. Okay, fine. I'm from Elisha.
You
I
see?
hate Lagos.
Okay.
End of
Okay,
story.
gentlemen. I think Ambassador
Sorry.
Olawale, you mentioned something which I picked from your conversation. You
Yeah.
did mention something which I could pick out. You talked about balkanization.
Yep.
Do you mean, would you mean, if I want to paraphrase or reframe, would you mind if I say you are concerned about citizenship, not indigenship? Is that what you mean?
Well, Dr. Tanoche, it's not, well, it may be related to citizenship, but look at it this way. Somebody woke up one day in 1966 and abolished the regions. And then what followed? The so-called re-engineering, 12 states, 17 or 19. Today we have 36 states. That's balkanization. How many of those states we have today is viable to be a state? Let's be honest. Now the question is, will Delta State be prepared to join Anambra, or when we talk about going back to regions? So it's connected in a way. Will Benue State, Plateau State, Kaduna State all want to be part of the old northern region? I'm only thinking aloud. How, so part of the conversation we should be having with ourselves, with each other, is if we are to go back to regions, do you want the old Midwest region that was carved out of Western region? How, what's going to happen to the northern region? Remember, we had 4 regions in 1966. Today, only one in the north, 3 in the south. But today, the reverse is the situation. You have 36 states in the north.
What is this nonsense?
Sorry, you have 19 states in the north, and the lower number in the south. So how do you regroup?
Okay. If I will step in, Dr. Mudaga Akpoje, since Ambassador Olawale mentioned 1966, I can see on your shares 1966. Do you think what happened in Europe, especially England and rest, states that might not be economically viable, is there a possibility that they could form unions like happened in Europe, or a possibility of people coming out of such kind of regions in future? Is this sustainable? Going in line with the questions from Ambassador Olawale.
Well, 1966 is a symbol of the year I was born.
I know.
It's along. The dual coincidence between 1966 and what you're saying now. Well, you see, like I told you, my great prof, when things descend the era of euphoria or academics, I these days try to detach myself from them. There's no way you can see unions of states in Nigeria, but it has happened. We had 19 governors forum, we have the Southwest forum, and now the Southern governors forum. But I believe it's more political expediency than the reality of the union between states. We need to really look inwards to see how we can come together and unify rather than disunify. Nigeria today is, I used to agree with the guy, it's a balkanized nation. Nigeria is bitterly divided. From the east, you can feel the vibration. Very terrible from the east. The insecurity is not what you and I can sit down here and discuss. It's horrendous. And even in the east eat the east. It's a no way. We go to the north, the insecurity and insurgency. And even in my town here, my mother's village of Ugwe or Yahweh, what the headers have done to our people. And just last 2 weeks, at Uyamugi, you saw what happened to the young man and the people that were pushed. We are discussing now the principles, variables, academic theories, union. The practical reality demands action after these talks. What are we doing? How can we now convey these things we are talking now to our authorities? I will represent your constituency. You won't represent my own, including my chairman. And how can we have a contact mobilization committee from this group we are talking about now to reach out to people who can influence what we are presenting? Indeed, our host has done very well. He said that this model has been submitted to the presidency and National Assembly. And he used the word, whether they have responded, that's another aspect. So when we finish this, what are the steps we are going to take to ensure that it gets to the right place? At least let them see that it got to them and here. Even if they do not respond, but at least we know that it to a place. And we can also use the instrumentality of the law, like Chief Justice did, to win the voice of the public. And we go to courts and say we have submitted this, and we want them to be compelled, which they have, to look at what we have said. Because presentation without impact, not due respect, a wasted exercise. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. There's a question from Professor Emmanuel Iga in the chat group. He made instances to the current existing National Assembly coming up with a new and a modified constitution reflecting the aspirations of the people. And the question is this? But he said this is feasible, but given the stakes involved in restructuring, is this feasible? Given the stakes in restructuring, would you want to speak to this, Honorable Balarabi Shehu, please? Because you made a very strong point about your organizing and also through town hall meetings, radio and TV programs using local languages. Now, since would this be possible? The National
Exactly.
Assembly,
And
looking at the National Assembly,
we have even
the way it's
established a
currently structured,
secretariat
and then
where
also Dr. Oje mentioned the instrumentality of having a constituent assembly to have a constitution, or a constituent assembly to have a constitution. What do you think, Honorable Sir?
yes, as I've said earlier, we have also even gone further to open up a secretariat where we are currently collecting inputs from Nigerians, particularly from the north, on these various agitations on structure. And as for the National Assembly, I believe the National Assembly still have the capacity to trigger, the chain reaction that is required to really actionalize and operationalize this process of restructuring. But what is needed there, even the National Assembly members from different sections of the country, honestly needs to be further educated. They need to be further trained and on their legislative duties, and consciousness on the need for urgent restructuring. If not, the amount of animosity against our legislators, honestly, is really scary. And one of the reasons is because our people do not even understand how the National Assembly operates. So the National Assembly, the State Assembly, I know they have been engaging in legislative community dialogues, calling different stakeholders to discuss on their National Assembly agenda, including the amendment of the Constitution. So all what we are doing has to follow legitimate process and as enshrined by the Nigerian law. as the presentation or the proposal by Akin Pafunda and many others have been sent, of course, to the executive, to the president, and to the National Assembly. And what some of us are working on now is to get the president submit an executive bill from the side of the executive arm of government to the National Assembly to trigger, and fast track legislative processes in constitutional amendment, particularly those areas, that speaks to restructuring for the peace, order, and equity, of this nation. And I believe with continuous engagement, for example, now this Nigerian roundtable, international Nigerian global roundtable, if we can bring ourselves together and organize a retreat, with the National Assembly members, I think it will help, because the National Assembly members themselves honestly need a lot of educating. They need a lot of mobilization. They need a lot of information on their powers. Because of the high turnover rate of the National Assembly, a lot of those that are newcomers, they are there, barely knows, all those four cardinal functions of who a legislator is.
A moment.
Okay, Dr.
Another thing
Akin, your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, the Nigerian Global Roundtable can liaise with NILS, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. They are doing a great job in that area, and then we can have a forum with them and discuss further.
Okay. Honorable Balarabi, you mentioned is that need to talk National Institute for Democratic Studies? Okay.
Yeah.
How about
Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, which is
okay. Dr. Akin Fakwanda, your hand is up. You want to say something?
No, I put it down.
Okay.
I put it down.
Okay. Barrister CD Bello, you have something to bring on board on this? Following the cue from Honorable Balarabi, do you think an institute like NIPS could also help in this, bringing all stakeholders together on this issue, so that they can fast track and have a meeting with National Assembly and prompt them into action, looking at existing laws in the country? This is a call for action now, Barrister CD. Hello? Okay. Okay, Barrister CD.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It can help. It can help, sir. Liaising with the National Institute of Legislation can help, because it covers a wide area of interested people there. But what I'm disturbed here is that the question asked by the ambassador was not answered as regard to are we going to have more than 4 regions as we used to have it in the 1960s? And so none of the speaker attempted to answer that question. But let me say quickly, in the proposal, Mr. Akin Papunhada has made certain kind of suggestion, considering the situation. He mentioned places such as Southern Kaduna, Plateau, and so forth. So for that reason, we can have more than 4 regions that we used to have in the 1960s. We can make it 9 regions and make a provision that any ethnic group that we don't want to go alongside with the region, he can make his choice. I think that is that clauses in that proposal. Yes, that is
okay. Just to add to that, I think the proposal by Dr. Akin Faboda actually proposed it, and he was very clear about it, that it's not cast in stone. What he was calling for, that can we have a conversation and move into action, that there is a time lap which is talked about within the next 1 year for action to be taken before the next election cycle. I guess that's what I guess I'm speaking of mind, Dr. Fakwanda, sir.
Are you referring to me, sir? Okay.
With you, I'm here.
Dr. Fakonda, sir. Yes, Akita. In your proposal, you propose 8 regions. Am I right?
But
Nice.
it's for debate. It's not it's for
Yes,
debate.
it's
It
not
can
cast
be
in
9,
stone.
be 12.
Yeah, good.
Or we cannot go
So
36 states anymore. There's no money to make 36 governors, 36 house for
exactly.
assembly. We don't have money again.
Yeah. So the conversation
That's
has
the
to lead
truth.
into
But
action.
people should organize and decide. If Akwa Ibom want to be a region, no problem, because they have money to maintain themselves. We have Rhode Island in the US, we have Delaware, there's New York, there's California in the United States. Any group that feels they are viable to maintain themselves without cheating on other regions, that's the thing. But now we are cheating Niger Delta, we are sharing their money, we are not doing anything.
Yeah.
So as many as can exist and pay money to the federal government to maintain it, then that is what we are saying. It will be 8, 9, 10, 12,
Okay.
but not 36.
Okay.
Please, can I say? Okay, go ahead, please, because it seems that the debate is just dominated by the same people. I'm sorry about that. Just an observation.
No. Mr. Francis, please, you can jump in, please. We did made provision that if you have a question or comment on the chat box, or you can indicate by any of the emoticons by raising your hand. Please,
Okay.
you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the war. I hear the people today what about construction. I mean, yeah, restructuring. Yeah, but the fact is this needs a lot to be prepared for, because not everybody, not all senators, not all members of the House of Assembly, not all Nigerians are for restructuring, but people may join the queue just to be in unison, because I'm sure that the people who gain a lot from the present morass and mess will not want it. And it was interesting to hear what Honorable, sorry, let me, sorry, I don't have the names. Honorable member, brother from the north. I think he's a member of the
That's
House.
Balarabe. That's Honorable Balarabe.
Okay, Balarabe, yes. And then our brother from the Niger Delta, Dr. Fakmuda, that is about preparation. Okay, the question I have, it is good to say this, we should be ready. And if people you speak to, you gather your people, address them, tell them the need for this. And now, okay, because nobody sits at home to gain anything. People have to come out. I don't mean in any violent protest, but people have to come out and say this is what we want. But we know the mentality of our leaders. The moment they see people, the next thing they shoot, they send out the police and the army to shoot. So if that happens, what of this promise about speaking to our people? What are we as people who have promised them that they should come out and be outspoken? When they are being shot at, where shall we be? What shall we do? Because it is easier said than done. What I'm trying to say, I don't know how much time is left, but this needs a very good preparation. And another thing is that people are saying, okay, let the East do what will suit them, let the West do what will suit them. But I'm sure that maybe by the time it comes to the crunch, you are going to see people say it is these people that started it. I say it without any fear. So it is good, because we can remember the handshake across the Niger before, and what happened after that? We are living witnesses to that. So anything like that, be it the Delta people, there should be a strong commitment, a commitment that is bounding. It is not enough, because if you think of the volume that might have been written, the number of things that might be recorded about arguments in Nigeria and what is going on, I'm sure, I don't know how many volumes we shall come up with. And again, what Ambassador Michael said is very relevant. It is the effect of I know Professor Fakmunda said that we don't have factories, but whether we have factories or not, the realities are dawning on us. And it just Mayagu spoke about Lagos, but go to Delta State, Asaba, those areas, you see what flooding does during the rainy season. It is because part of what is climate change. So what I'm trying to say in effect is that it is a sweet thing to dream about. And of course, we don't have to forget the consequences of this restructuring, because so as one of eminent speakers mentioned the fact that before there were four regions. And again, the problem, even among some people who deny that they are either Chekiris or Robos or Igbos or non-Igbos, problems will come up again. How do we handle that? Because there is no point trying to solve a problem and getting into worse situations. In fact, what I'm trying to say is that this thing, it needs to be thought over, and it needs to be handled by stakeholders who are serious-minded, who know what it means. It is not for me, but for the common man, the generations unborn, the present generations, and for the future of anybody that will live in the country. So preparation for me is much, much important, because going into it, if we have to beat a retreat, I don't know. And if we took any step and we are beaten back, we're just in a horrible condition, which may last ages before you think of any change. Because what we should be praying and working towards now is for Nigeria to have a change. Because when we talk of change, definitely changes come. But what sort of changes? Do we want any changes that are going to be worse than we are in now? No. So we have to examine our conscience. Can we work with ourselves? Who are the stakeholders? Are we sure that when it comes to a crunch, we shall not say, okay, at the end of the day, these are my people. Let others go through what they may see. Because this is typical Nigeria. So that is just what I'm trying to say. And again, initially, I remember that Dr. Fakmunda said, I'm not calling for any military anything. Yeah, good. We are not calling for any military anything, but sometimes you see when we try to bend corners, not calling a spade a spade. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Sorry, I'll round up immediately. Can you hear me? I'll round up immediately.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So what I'm trying to say, military or no military, all we have to ask ourselves, during the regime of Idi Agbo and Buhari, was the country not enjoying? Were we not experiencing good changes? Then when Buhari came in as military man, what happened? So let us always think, because it is not, we don't want bloodshed, definitely not. But let us think of what is good for the nation. Thank you very much. Sorry for taking most of your time.
Thank you. I think your points are noted, and the panelists are here. If they wish to respond, they will. I think we should be winding up now. If there's any, we would want to hear final words from our panelists, starting from Dr. Akin Fakwanda. 30 seconds. I don't know if you can just chip in your final words, and then.
Dr. Otanusha,
Sorry, sir.
Yes, can you perhaps check the chat if there is any other person who wants to say something very briefly so that nobody feels left out before
Yes,
you.
we've done that. Just a comment from a comment and answer from our. There was a comment from
my hands are
Aya.
up. My hand is up.
Oh, sorry, sir. Yes, sir. But yes. Bade Bowale, sir. Sir,
Yes,
honorable,
sir.
yeah, Ade
It's,
Conjo. Sorry, sir.
yes, you may honor me, but I'm not honorable publicly. Anyway, thank you for that big honor. Listening to the few last speakers, I think we must address ourselves as instrument of change. We realize that our country needs a change. And therefore, if we don't want violence change, then it will also take a dimension of sacrifice. And one of the things that I don't want us to bug ourselves with is fear. Fear of the enormous task ahead of us. Fear of the unknown. You cannot go to effect change by overwhelming yourself with fear of what if. Now we want to reduce as many risks as possible. And I think that will come by brainstorming, like the one that is being done this afternoon. When we now agree within us, and those people who would be the arrowhead of each area, like my brother from Sokoto, he said he will do whatever he will do. Then he needs some of us that perhaps we've gone through the initial stage to come around him and give him a kind of roadmap and tell him to be conscious of the fact that we are here to support him anytime he runs into the problem. So that I think will help us than to get ourselves focused on possible challenges on the way. There is always challenges. A man who goes to marry, if he doesn't realize that the challenge of upkeep of the family will be on him, then he's not ready for marriage in the first place. And that is one of the easiest tasks of life. Now, when you say you want to change the system in a country, I don't know whether you can persuade those that are benefiting from what it is now to come along with you. These members of the National Assembly, whether House of Rep or Senate, they are not likely to. So we must address these things into ourselves and be ready to help one another. Be ready for those that are in Delta State or whatever you call it to align with like-minded people in other parts of the country to help them steer away from possible pitfalls and show them where they could succeed. I think if we have that mindset that I'm going to help you, we are going to help each other, we are going to uphold each other, this is something for our country. And we realize that there will be a price. Changes does not come without price. Those who are the founding fathers of America paid the price. Some of them paid the ultimate price of their life. Many of them lose their businesses for what we enjoy today in America. So my challenge and charge to every one of us here is that don't let us focus on the possible problem. I'm not saying we should not understand the risk, but don't let us focus on it. It will demoralize us. Let's be ready to work together because of the ultimate purpose of delivering Nigeria from the backwardness that we find ourselves. And with that, let's be ready to come alongside each other to give ourselves, some prompting. And I think we can do it if we are ready to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yes, please. Yes, please.
I sent a document to Dr. Edobo just now. The middle belts, they are having inaugural meeting, 2-day meeting in Kaduna, 9th and 10th of August. They form a coalition of indigenous middle belt organizations. They're having a maiden special conference on restructuring.
Your line is
This initiative,
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
This initiative came out of the group that produced a middle belt. They are now claiming, they are now asserting the right to have a region, organize all the peoples of those regions into a movement. This is, in my opinion, the way to go. The Middle Belt has laid a conference now for 9th and 10th of August in Kaduna. The Western region is already on track. If many other regions do this, then we have the same voice of restructuring across the country, and with no names, with no personalities saying we want to do this. It will go beyond the realm of academics. It's now the realm of reality. So let this meeting go ahead now with the decision to go and organize into bodies like the Central Middle Belt Group, the Western Group. 2 now out of the 8 is coming out. Can we have more? When we do this before October, all movements like this might decide to come to Abuja to make a declaration that Western region, Eastern region, Southern region, Middle Belt region, Northeast region, we have reached a common agreement on the way to go. We might go ahead to go and draft our regional constitutions before then. We are updating 1963 Constitution of Western Region, we are updating it to the present. This is the real action that we need to take. I appreciate everybody. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. It has been most rewarding. Can we give the mic now to our panelist, Honorable Balarabe, sir?
You mean for final statement, is that correct?
Yes, please.
Well, for me, the final statement is we'll continue conversing, we'll continue the conversation, mobilizing people, and also, allaying their fears on what restructuring is all about. And in Nigeria, I don't think if Nigeria, if it goes back to the regions, any region will face more than the current difficulties of inflation, insecurity, bad governance, as well as corruption that we are suffering now. So I think the dangers of misgovernance and insecurity and hardship, we can't go beyond this. And as Dr. Pafunda said, imagine there is cholera in Lagos. Cholera in Lagos, basic health care provision, on a provision a procedure, that we still have cholera in Lagos, as advanced as, in quotes, Lagos is. And in a restructured Nigeria, that cannot happen because it goes down to environmental health and primary health care or basic health care. And the region will have will do all it can so that such things never happen again and everywhere. And on a final note, I want to tell everyone in simple terms, especially our uncommon people, the restructuring for Nigeria means better food security. It means going to produce more maize, more rice, more groundnut, more palm oil, more cocoa, and more food that is affordable for all Nigerians, because agricultural production and livestock production will prosper for the benefit of all, better under a regional system than the current borrowed federal system. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Balarabe Kakale. Thank you so much. Can I go on to my big brother and boss, Dr. Akbomudaga Uje, sir? Final word, sir. Dr. Oje, please.
Oje is not here. He's not here again.
Okay. Okay. Can we pass the mic now to Barrister Sidi, sir? Sidi, your final words. Barrister Sidi Bello, please. Can you unmute and maybe your final words to this
I
distinguished
say,
forum? Yes, sir.
yeah,
Yes,
yes, sir.
please.
Yes, sir. To me, this process is signed, sealed, and delivered. It has become my third project, and I'm going to pursue it. As I have stated earlier, whatever Nigeria may need in governance, the regional system of government is there to offer it to him. So I am calling on all who might have had the opportunity to participate in this, to make that at the back of their mind, to pass across this information to the younger ones, to our peers, and to everyone, that whatever a Nigerian is now missing under this current system, it is very ready for him when the system is restructured into the regional system of government. I have that conviction, and I'm informed by instincts that this process is going to succeed, and it is going to win. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Before I pass the mic to the host, the main host, for his final closing remarks, we want to thank Dr. Akin Fakwanda for your courage and your resilience in putting across this document, which has been presented here and discussed, and then the conclusion that we all agree that the current system is not working well, and there's need for change, and then the peaceful means. We want to thank you so much. Through payments anyway. We want to thank you, Honorable Dr. Badarabe Kakali, member of
Thank
Nigerian
you very
for your insights, and also your proactive um, thoughts on how you have started
thank you.
organizing
Thank you very much.
in the north. That's very great. I want to thank Dr. Akbo Mudaga Oje, who also made mention of having various groups organized, and also made references to previous agitations that have brought some remarkable input. And he also mentioned there is need to move beyond the rhetorics and theories, and then uh, go into action in a mutual manner. I want to thank you, Dr. Oji. The Nigerian Global Roundtable thanks you. Barrister Sidi Bello, thank you so much for your inputs and your wonderful presentations also, and also giving a lot of 100% push for this agenda and moving forward. All participants that have listened, that came on board, all those who contributed, those who registered but could not connect due to one reason or the other, we thank you and we appreciate you. We hope that when next we have this kind of session to move Nigeria forward, we'll be ready to pick up. I want to thank myself too, and also Dr. Dr. Jones for his mentorship and bringing me on board as a co-host. We do our best. Nigeria cannot remain like this, and this is not the story we're going to tell our children. At least we're able to make efforts to show that we contributed to the development of our country, Nigeria. On this note, I want to pass the mic to the chief host, Dr. Jones Edobo, to give his final remarks and closing session. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Tanusha, for the co-host and management of the second part of the event. So well done. Thank you very much. And
Thank you, sir.
you have already thanked all the participants, the guest speaker, and the panelists. I just want to add, I just want to thank all the other participants, members of the Nigerian Global Roundtable who are here, and also all the others who have stayed with us. It has taken some time, who have been so patient to be with us till the end. family members and friends who have all tuned in. You are all appreciated. So thank you very much for being here. So you can have all your physical and mental faculties. Time is spent. I would like to say that we have come to the end of this very event. A lot of good ideas have been raised. Does His Excellency Omar Farouk, do you want to say something?
Dr. Doba, well done. Well done. You're doing so well for Nigeria. And I also want to thank the panelists and all the participants.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for staying with us till late. With this, I think we bring this conversation to an end. Thank you, all of you. We always have one event now and again. We hope that when we have the next event, we also honor our invitation and be a part of the conversation. All the good ideas that have been here this evening, we have taken note of them and we are going to follow them up and see where we go from here. And somebody said, don't be afraid. Bringing in fears and doubts and so on, they are all relevant. But we are not trying to cause a revolution. We are not talking of uprooting any government. All what we are doing here is trying to see that good governance is installed in Nigeria. And I don't think anybody can have a problem with that. We're only trying to say, let's introduce a system that will bring good governance to Nigeria, to the good of everybody. We are not planning a military coup here, anything that will cause any havoc in Nigeria. That's not what we are doing. What we are doing is peaceful, democratic, and whatever means that citizens can demand for good governance. That's what we are doing. So with this, I thank all of you for being here and for participating in this conversation. And I wish you all a good night. So goodbye, and thank you very much for being here. Thank you and good night. So the conversation.
Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night,
Good
Honorable
night.
Kakali.
Thank you. Thank you.
Honorable Kakali, good night.
Thank you, Honorable Kakali. Thank you, Dr. Akim Funda. Thank you, Dr. John Edoba.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much for joining.
Okay.
Will be well done. Honorable
Thank
CD.
you, sir.
Okay.
Dr. Jones, thank you for the platform.
Okay. So I'm
Thank you, sir.
ending the connection now. So bye then, everybody. Okay.
Bye, everyone.